Calm doesn't actually change the world. Controlled anger does. So let's get something straight here. Anger is not your problem. In fact, anger might actually be the most powerful tool you have. But most people have been taught to fear it, or that it's a problem, to suppress it, or to shut it down. They say things like, calm down, relax, don't get angry. But ask yourself this: has being quiet, submissive, and agreeable actually ever changed anything, changed the world? No. Change comes from people who are willing to stand up, who are willing to push back, push against the norms, the boundaries that people set, who are willing to say, no, I don't agree with that. That fire, that intensity, that refusal to tolerate what is wrong.
Don't you ever talk to me like that again. I am done taking your abuse, both of you. This behavior stops right now.
That is anger. Look at the most influential leaders in the world. Take a look at Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Love them or hate them, that's a different story. But those are the people that push for change. They don't wait for permission, they act. Now, does that mean they're always right? Well, no, it doesn't. Does it mean that they're always ethical? Absolutely not. But they're always influential. They move things, they create an impact. So the goal is not to eliminate your anger, the goal is to master it. To take that raw power and put it into what you believe. Positive change. Because when anger is uncontrolled, it destroys everything in its path. But when it's controlled, it becomes focus, courage, ambition, and change. Now, as a specialist in anger management, I hear this all the time from clients. Wait, what do you mean I don't have an anger problem? I lose control, I get aggressive, I throw things, I get into fights with other people and even my partner. My family has always said I'm the angry one, I've got an anger problem. And I get it. On the surface, yeah, it does seem like anger is the issue. I can understand where you're coming from. But that's the point when I ask a question that always stops them in their tracks. Is it anger that's the problem? Or is it the behavior you show once anger is present, combined with the fact that you are not getting your point across in the most effective way? For example, when a man goes and beats his wife because she's not listening to him, or she didn't do something, or she triggered him, that's not a problem of anger. That's a problem that he doesn't know how to communicate his point of view, which leads him to do something which is absolutely unacceptable, which is going and beating his wife. Let's say, for example, he comes home and the first thing she does is she nags him to do something. And he's come home from a very long day of work, very stressful day of work, and he immediately lifts his hand and strikes her. That is not communicating your point of view. What he could have done rather is said, just give me a couple of minutes to find my feet and then I'll be right with you. But I just need a few minutes to myself, or to just put my stuff down, relax a little bit, and then all my attention is based on you after that. But going and striking a woman, well, that means you have no idea how to communicate what you're looking for. And that is a problem with communication. Anger is just a symptom of the situation. The behavior of striking the person in front of you, that is the cause of bad communication. Inability to verbalize what you are feeling and what you want to get across to the other person. I'm going to give a little bit of a situation here, and I'd like you to think very carefully and pause the video after I explain the situation and try and think, what would you do in this person's shoes? You're on a train, you sit down, you're on your way to work, and the next thing, a dad with 4 children walks onto the train. The dad sits down, and immediately all 4 children just start going wild. They are screaming and throwing things and fighting with each other and screaming. And the dad just sits there, and you're sitting right next to the dad, and these kids are going absolutely crazy right in front of you. What do? This has now been going on for about 3 minutes. What would you honestly do in that situation? By the way, this was a real situation that happened, not to me, but it was a real situation. So I'll tell you what the guy did that was sitting next to the father of the 4 children. He looked at the father and he's like, control your children. Seriously, why aren't you controlling them? They are going crazy, but you're doing nothing. Be honest, would you have done that? A lot of people would have. All right, so now the father of the 4 children turns to him and just bursts into tears. And he looks at the man and he's like, I'm so sorry, I've got absolutely nothing left in me. All 4 of those children all just witnessed their mother die in front of them in hospital. I lost my wife. And the man just felt goosebumps running down his arms and his legs. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. And the father just threw his hands on his face and bawled his eyes out. So here's the honest truth then. Can you always make a judgment about what obviously seems like unacceptable? Now, I always give the scenario to my anger management clients, and I always say, what would you have done? And I get a range of answers. Some of them say they'll start swearing at the father, saying, what the F are you? Why aren't you doing anything about these kids? You're a terrible father. I've heard all the answers, trust me. But not one person has sat there and really thought about it and said, you know what? Maybe it's worth asking the question to the father about the obvious, which is, are you okay? I see that your children are misbehaving and screaming and that sort of thing. I just want to check, is everything okay? Do you need some help? And that's interesting, right? Because, well, maybe, just maybe, there is a reason why the obvious is happening. Let's investigate further before making a decision of how to act. So the next time you see obviously bad behavior, maybe it's worth investigating first. What could be the reason for that? And then deciding how you want to go about it. So that brings me to an important strategy that I want you to try if you feel your anger building up in a situation. Make sure that you give them the benefit of the doubt by investigating first. Make that your first port of call. Once you've investigated and you are satisfied with what they have said, then you can make a determination of what the best strategy is.